G'day everyone. Well, welcome to our presentation here. My name's Mike. I've got with me Russ, and what we're going to talk to you about is some of our science degrees that we offer at La Trobe University on our Bendigo campus. And so we have a Bachelor of Science, we have a Bachelor of Biomedical Science, and we also run a Bachelor of Pharmacy as well. So these are all degrees based very heavily in science. So we're going to just talk a little bit about our science degrees in general and why you would want to do science. So Russ, why did you do a science degree?
Well, I'm a curious person by nature, and to sate that curiosity, it turns out that studying a science degree is perfect, but what I perhaps didn't realise is that it was going to give me these immensely employable skills, as all our students have, in critical thinking and communication.
Absolutely. So if having done a science degree, one of the problems with science degrees is that they're not necessarily what we call vocational degrees. So if we look at, say, an engineering degree or a Bachelor of Pharmacy, they're very vocational. So if you do one of those degrees, you know where you're going. Where do people get jobs in science degrees?
This is kind of the surprising thing, Mike. People think that a science degree is going to lead you to be a scientist and perhaps wear a lab coat. I've never actually worn a lab coat in my life, but more broadly, these rounded analytical skills are applicable in heaps of industries. So anything that involves modelling, really, climate or solar forecasting, modelling health or the virus propagation through a society, modelling traffic, disease and finance. It turns out all these things share a commonality with things you learn in a science degree, which is how to model, how to make predictions and how to think critically.
Yeah, and it is really interesting if you look at where our graduates go in the end. There's a lot of them in industries that you don't normally associate with science. So we've got a lot of graduates in the financial industry, for instance, where they are involved in financial forecasting for big banks and major financial institutions, and they do very well in those roles. And it really is those analytical skills that are so important. But in addition to just modelling things and having the ability to do forecasting, of course, there's a lot of other careers that people can go into. So there's a lot of jobs, for example, in the pharmaceutical industry. If we look at the food industry, in environmental sides of things, water resources, understanding water resource, managing parks and forests, and these sorts of things. The mining industry. Well,
absolutely, and these critical skills applied to these industries are really acknowledged by employers who want people that can learn things from scratch quite rapidly. It's exactly what our science degrees offer. Yeah,
absolutely, and the number of if you look at what's happening across the country in degrees in science, there's a lot of organisations moving to consulting, and a lot of the people employed in this consulting industry are actually people with science backgrounds. So yeah, having done a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Biomedical Science, it really does give you a good basis to work in a whole range of areas, from financial industry to hospitals, all sorts of places.
Absolutely, and you may have heard this term digital economy or digital workforce. It's kind of a loaded term because lots of things are digital these days. But what you're hearing when you come across that term is this idea of the analytical modelling and the analytical predictions that these science degrees give you. Hey Mike, have you ever heard of Isaac Newton?
Newton?
Yeah.
He's not the dude who drank the beer, is he?
He may have had a few beers when he was thinking about his three laws. Can you remember what the first one is?
Something at rest, applying a force, making stuff move.
Exactly, and everyone may have seen this many times on TV with a magician doing a tablecloth trick. Well, we've got a couple of variants of a tablecloth trick today. Something you can do at home, which is grab a wine glass, grab an ice cube, which I've painted red today, and a business card. So I'm going to ask you to take this wine glass. We're going to sit on our tablecloth, which is our business card, and just flick the card out, mate. Lovely, look at that. So cheers, everyone. We can now upgrade to a more elaborate version. So I'm going to use this piece of paper now for my tablecloth, and I'm going to try and rip it out from between these two beer bottles using this meter rule as a blade.
Amazing.
How's that, Mike?
That's good.
Was Newton right?
Newton was right.
And this is an example of something that Mike and I do all the time, which is to find interesting science in the everyday. And we've got an example of that which we use Instagram for, which is to use Mike's fantastic photographs to explore real deep scientific questions about the physical and chemical universe in photography and in the everyday. One of the ways that Mike and I engage our students is with the social media platform that they're fluent in. Here's our Instagram page where we tell engaging visual stories about physics and chemistry with photographs of their everyday. Here's an example of such a thing. What are we looking at here, Mike?
So Russ, this is a fish eagle in Kenya actually, on a lake in Kenya, Lake Naivasha. And it's interesting from a chemical perspective because a lot of these lakes and natural water systems in Kenya are actually polluted with pesticides. And the reason for that is because of the flower industry over there, and a large proportion of their agricultural land is actually used to grow flowers for the cut flower industry. Not in Kenya, but for elsewhere around the world. So a lot of those flowers hit European markets, Britain and the US as well. So very big industry in Kenya, but not terribly good for the environment. So.
For sure, and I particularly like this photo, Mike, because it's one of the examples of where we can tell a story about physics and chemistry. Turns out there's some pretty amazing flight biomechanics happening here. An example of the eagle doing some physics to transfer its centre of mass a little bit in front of its body, so it has a bit more time to pick up its prey with its hinged legs without slowing down during its flight. Thanks for the great photo, Mike.
No worries.
I'm Jason and I'm one of the lecturers here in pharmacy at Trobe University, and I'm joined now by Millie, who's one of our final year student pharmacists. And Millie, I was going to ask you, why did you choose to study pharmacy?
So I chose to study pharmacy because I was quite interested in subjects like chemistry and biology. In high school, I was really interested in the human body and how it works and how medicines work. So I did want to get into healthcare, but I wasn't sure which direction to go. But one of the main things that I wanted out of my career was a career that allowed me to help people. So I really wanted to give back to the community, and pharmacy just ticks all those boxes for me. And yeah, it's all my interests combined into one. So yeah, it is the perfect career for me, I think.
Excellent. And why did you choose to study pharmacy at La Trobe in Bendigo?
So I did grow up here in Bendigo, but the La Trobe pharmacy course also enrolls about 30 to 50 new students each year. So it is a smaller program, and being a smaller cohort, more time, attention and resources can be given to individual students, and lecturers do have more time to, I guess, give us support and help, and we get to know them really well over the years, and we can go to them whenever we are struggling or just need some extra guidance. And being that smaller cohort, it's quite a close-knit group of students as well, so there's a big focus on that team-based learning environment, and we have that solid mentorship from staff as well, which is really good.
What do you believe are some of the important considerations when choosing a pharmacy degree?
So one of the most important considerations I found was campus environment. So as I was speaking about with the smaller cohort, it's a huge support system, which is really good. They do encourage a lot of self-directed learning, which is also really important for self-development, but yeah, lots of support from staff and other students, as well as campus organisations. So BAPS, which is the Bendigo Association of Pharmacy Students, it's a great club to be a part of. We hold events throughout the year that I guess, yeah, help with personal development as well as education and the social aspect as well. It's a great opportunity to build friendships. It's a really great club to be a part of, and it gets you involved. And we hold events that are charity events as well throughout the year, which are great.
Yeah, that's great. But you're in your final year of the pharmacy program.
Yeah. What
are some of the things that you've enjoyed about the La Trobe pharmacy program?
So some of the things I've enjoyed include the immunisation training, which I haven't actually undertaken yet, but we're doing that this semester, which I'm super excited about, and it's a great opportunity that La Trobe are giving us to be able to do that in our final year, as well as mental health first aid, which is also super important, as well as like the oral-based assessments. So we've had a lot of oral-based assessments over the years, and they are daunting and scary, and a lot of the time we undertake them in the model pharmacy, so it just replicates that environment that we're going to be in our pharmacy career, and simulates, we speak to patients, we counsel them on their medications, and it's a really good confidence booster and really helps with our development of our knowledge and skills.
Great. Thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you.
So I'm joined now by Kat, who's one of our graduate pharmacists. She graduated from here about 10 years ago. And Kat, why did you choose pharmacy as a profession?
So I chose pharmacy on a little bit of a whim. I was very into science and maths at high school, and I really wanted something that I could also work with people. I really wanted to help people and help probably in healthcare, so pharmacy seemed like the right idea.
And what have you found since graduating is the best thing about working in pharmacy?
Probably once again the patient interaction, and especially in community pharmacy, you have that opportunity to follow patients along and see their positive outcomes from your involvement in their healthcare.
What do you find the most rewarding about working in pharmacy?
Once again, probably the patient outcomes and just solving people's problems. I really love when someone comes into the pharmacy with a problem that seems unsolvable. I really enjoy being able to just find them a pathway out of their problem.
What opportunities exist for pharmacists? Where might your career path lead you?
Yeah, so within pharmacy I've done a lot of different things. So I've worked in community pharmacy the majority of my career and moved into management from there. I'm also a home medicines accredited pharmacist, so I do home medicine reviews. And there's also the opportunity to do nursing home reviews and lots of different areas there. I also work part-time for community health as well, which is more project-based work, working in the pharmacotherapy area, doing promotion to pharmacies, decreasing stigma, and also working with GPs as well. So the degree has given me multiple opportunities to grow my career, which has been great.
Excellent. You
Yeah.
talked about pharmacotherapy. Tell us a little bit more. What's pharmacotherapy?
So pharmacotherapy is to help people who are addicted to opioids or have dependency problems with opioids. It's a medication-based treatment that the patients attend to pharmacy a few times a week, if not every day, and they're dosed with different medications to help prevent withdrawal and help with cravings and issues like that. Unfortunately, with dependence, there is a lot of stigma in the area. So one of my main aims is to decrease that stigma and help people get access to the treatment, because it gives really good outcomes for people when their life is stable. They're able to keep down jobs, build meaningful relationships, things like that.
That sounds pretty rewarding for you.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I really love pharmacotherapy.
And how flexible have you found working in pharmacy in general?
Fantastic. Obviously, it depends where you work, but there's a lot of opportunity for part-time work, weekend work, nights. You can really work around your family and things like that, which is great.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Sounds like you're having a great time.
Yeah,
Thanks
I
for
do.
joining us, Kat.
thank you.